Hi everyone, I'm getting married to my wonderful fiancée in November of this year. We're also two ladies, if that helps. I've always felt like my mother viewed me as an extension of herself instead of my own person. We generally have a good relationship, but she does and says some stuff here and there that really grinds my gears. She didn't do anything insanely controlling like some of the stuff I've seen, but definitely had a vision of how she wanted me to be, and I am the exact opposite. Some highlights. She tried to stop me from going to college out of state by bribing me with a car. I said forget this and went to school out of state, graduated with honors. Tried to guilt me into not moving with my fiancé to a new state for a job. I said forget this, moved away, and now make triple what I used to make. And once called my outfit ugly on my first day of sophomore year of high school. Fun, right? Every time she tries to pull this, I call her out on it, and she not only walks back on her statements, but every time has recognized that I was right. She openly admits that my college was fantastic, the move was a great decision. She also loves my fiancé. We all spent Christmas 2 years ago at my childhood home, and everyone had a blast. This year, things have been a little different. She says constantly she wants to come visit. First it was in February. She did not visit. She used to do this all the time back when I was living in my previous town. She'd say she was going to visit and then just wouldn't. I invited her to a well-known amusement park earlier this month, free of charge. I already had the tickets and lodging, but my fiancé couldn't go. And she said she couldn't because she and my father had to go pick up my youngest brother from college for spring break. As if that's a two-parent job. Then went into a long diatribe about how she really wants her first trip out in my area to see my new house. So basically, she only wanted to come visit on her terms. Very frustrating. Anyway, back to the wedding. We got engaged last year, and I got an enthusiastic congratulations from her. I notified her of the wedding date, and she told me she'd be sure to block it off, but that's about it. No communication on how planning is going, no offers of assistance. I'm not necessarily expecting them to pay for anything, but some emotional support would be nice. No asking for information, nothing. It's almost like she doesn't care. I'm honestly a little upset, and I told her that a few days ago. She told me that her parents and in-laws didn't help her plan her wedding with my father, which explains a little bit of maybe why she hasn't been asking, helping, etc. At the same time, I don't necessarily feel like I need to explicitly tell her that it's important for her to care about my upcoming major life event. When my fiancé and I touched base with her that evening via phone call, she was much less dismissive and started asking questions about rehearsal dinner, dress appointments, etc. And then as soon as my fiancé left the room, my mom lit into me about, "Isn't it weird that this is all happening so fast?" This will be a year-long engagement, and my future amazing wife have been together for 4 years. Most people usually get married and then buy a house. We are not most people, and financially had the means to do this. Don't expect me to do anything. The last one really got to me, and I, again, let her know how upset I was. And she straight up asked me to send her a bulleted list of suggested things for parents to do so she can look it over with my father. I just don't know. I'm feeling like her actions are speaking louder than her words right now, and due to her history of planning to go places but not showing up, I wouldn't be surprised if she flaked on my wedding. I feel awful even typing that out. Sorry for the rant. I'm just looking for advice, support. I can't tell if she's joking or serious with this one. If she's serious, I don't care. She'll just be sitting in the corner by herself looking like a ducking idiot while everyone else is having a good time. So I spoke to my mom on Friday in yet another conversation where she tried to make my wedding all about her. Granted, we are having a small wedding of 25 people max. But seeing your own daughter get married should be enough reason to want to go. Also, she knows people that will be there, so I'm not buying that excuse. Then, she told me she doesn't want anything to do with the wedding and just wants to show up. She said she still needs to think about how she wants to participate in the wedding. Fine by me. I have a friend's mom who is more than happy to help out and has even asked me several times if she can help. And I told her that while she's thinking, this friend's mom will help me and that we've got it all under control. My mom's response? "Oh, you don't want to be patient and see what I can do?" Record scratch. What? Our wedding is in November. It's May. Although everything is booked and paid for, we've got things that we need to do now to ensure that everything goes smoothly in November. So no, Mom, I don't have time to wait on your half-hearted wishes to participate in my wedding. But of course, now that someone else has stepped up to the plate, she wants to play the victim and pout. Which is why she told me that she'll just sit in the corner at my wedding, do nothing, and not talk to anyone. Some people have been asking where my dad is in all of this. He's been married to my mom for 27 years. I'm 25, and is a complete saint of a man. He's completely supportive of our wedding and wants to participate and do everything, which is awesome. He and I have been talking privately about how garbage my mom's behavior has been, and he's appalled that she's treating me this way. I think it's been eye-opening for him. He keeps saying he's been working on her with this. I'm not entirely sure what that means, but he flat out told me that my mom will be at my wedding and she will have a good time because she doesn't have a choice. We'll see. I flat out told him I'd rather have just one parent or no parents at my wedding than unhappy parents. Hard for him to hear, I'm sure, but 100% honest. It's not him I'm concerned about, but I was worried my mom would drag him into this. And he reiterated that they will both be there and that he's looking forward to the wedding. So, progress. Despite the title, there is some light at the end of the tunnel. But yeah, around a month and a half ago, my mom initially offered me $10,000 in place of her attending my wedding because she doesn't know anybody there, so essentially she would give me cash in exchange for her actual being there. I guess myself, my fiancé, her husband, my father, my 2 brothers, and a childhood friend don't count. Also, I am her first child getting married, and her only daughter. I've always had a sneaking suspicion her behavior was because I was marrying a woman and she was uncomfortable with it, hence her ridiculous excuses. She also texted this to me right before a meeting that, if it went well, would increase my salary by 30%, which would be huge for my fiancé and I. It was a new low even for her. I'd also like to mention that up until this point, she has maintained that she is not in a position to support the wedding financially. Which, fine, my fiancé and I can afford our wedding 100% without familial assistance. But where is she coming up with this $10,000 now? I was able to keep it together during the meeting, and got my raise, holla. But as soon as I got home, I called her to see what was going on. She answered in this sickeningly sweet voice and tried to play dumb about why I was calling her. I lost it, and in a moment I'm not proud of, I went into a fit of blind rage. I'm not even sure exactly what I said to her, but I know I told her that if she wants to lose a daughter, this is an excellent way to do it because I don't even want to speak to her anymore, let alone see her. That there is a fine line between not wanting to participate in wedding festivities and not showing up at the wedding. That she can expect me to no longer call for Mother's Day and her birthday, to show up for family functions, etc. That she was a sorry excuse for a mother. Then I hung up. Both of my parents called me a lot afterwards, and I just ignored the calls. I had 25 missed calls at one point. I took the following day off from work so I could take myself out to lunch and run around the beach with my dog. I proceeded to ignore their calls for the rest of the week until I got a 4 a.m. call from my dad. He and my mom are 3 hours ahead of me, so he thought I was up. And his voice was shaking. He told me that he and my mom were very concerned. I told him I'm not sure why, as my mom has been so ridiculous over the past few months, so I should not be the one he's concerned with. Then I hung up. He tried calling me back some more, but I didn't answer. Fast forward another 2 weeks, and I get a 4 a.m. call from my mom. I've lived out west for 7 months now. You'd think they'd get used to the time difference. It was an apology. She never apologizes, so I was skeptical at first. She explained how she's having a lot of difficulty adjusting to being a parent of adult children. Which, fair, but I also told her that's no excuse for how she's been acting, and she agreed she has been tough on me and my wedding for no good reason. She said that when she and my father married, they eloped because it got too chaotic with their families, and she realized she was doing the same to me, and she didn't want that. She also said she didn't want me to stress. That ship already sailed, but I appreciate the acknowledgement. And that it wouldn't be right to not attend the wedding because it's not like I'm marrying a mass M or addict or anything. I'm just marrying a woman. So we are working on repairing our relationship. Formal wedding invitations went out last week, and she received one. She sent me an enthusiastic message with a picture of the invitation. I am still a bit skeptical because I feel like nobody can change this fast, but I know that this is absolutely a work in progress, and I'm okay with that. Edit. Thank you all for the well wishes. For those that are wondering, I am cautiously optimistic about my mother. At the moment, I still do not trust her, and I know that it will take lots of time for that trust to fully mend, if it ever will. I've made it clear to her and my dad that I cannot walk away from this with a good feeling purely based on the principle that she tried to buy her way out of my wedding. For those of you saying that you would have taken the $10,000 and told her to go away, my mother has been fine literally up until this point. I'd rather her work through the core issues of this because I know in the end it will make her a better person and a better mother to me and to my 2 younger brothers, all of which are adult children. I still appreciate her apology and her willingness to work on our relationship. It may not be perfect, but I don't expect it to be after everything she's done. In the meantime, I've scheduled 10 days of vacation before I transition into my new role at work, so I'm going to head to the mountains for some off-the-grid time with my significant other and our dog when she returns. Thank you for your support. My family and I grew up very poor. From when I was old enough to legally work, I, 19, have had to take on multiple jobs while balancing school to help with my family and my younger sister. Growing up, I never had a lot, and whatever money I earned, I would spend on my sister, 16, female, and family. When I was 18 and had just been accepted into college, my dad's business that he'd worked on for the past couple of years finally took off. This also meant that my sister could now have a normal high school experience without worrying about money. While I was in college, I wasn't in contact with my sister that much since I was so busy with schoolwork. However, from our calls and her social media, I could tell that she had changed completely and was involved with some bad people. She would post videos of her on Snapchat of her getting drunk, smoking, juuling, driving while most likely drunk, high, etc. I tried reaching out to her, but she would mostly deny the claims and told me to mind my own business. At some point, she justified her actions using the argument, "This is what the cool kids do now. Not everyone was a nerd like you in high school." One of my high school friends, who also has a brother in the same grade, reached out to me and said that she had heard that my sister was seeing a sketchy guy from another school. Apparently, he sells D and was expelled from my sister's high school. I asked my sister about this and she denied it. Last week, I got a phone call from my mom who was sobbing. She tells me that my sister is pregnant. I was so shocked that I could not speak. Then I was angry. When I was her age and even younger, I gave her everything, and so did my parents, so she could have all the opportunities her peers had. Since my dad's business became lucrative, they've given her every opportunity to succeed. Any extracurricular sport she wants, academic tutoring, school activities, etc. I never got any of those things. It angered me so much that she took all of this for granted and effed her life up. The father? Her delinquent boyfriend, who got expelled and sells D. She blows up my phone, but I don't respond. Then she sends me a series of long text messages asking if she can crash at my place. She also asked me if I could make an appointment for her to see a doctor. Lastly, she asked if it would be okay if her boyfriend comes and stays over sometimes. I shut her down. I told her that you dug this hole for yourself. If you allowed yourself to become pregnant, then you should be able to deal with the consequences. Also, I'm currently sharing a small apartment with 2 roommates. She begged some more, and I denied her. In the past few days, she's still texting me and calling me nonstop, saying that she has nowhere to go and has been living in her boyfriend's car. I haven't responded to a single message of hers, but I feel my resolve wavering a bit. I fully don't support her, but maybe I'm being an asshole. Edit. To clarify, I would still never house her in my apartment. That would be extremely disrespectful towards my roommates and would get me kicked out due to the lease agreement. I meant I was considering giving in and sending her some money. Edit 2. My parents have disowned her, not kicked her out. They are refusing to acknowledge that she is their daughter, but she is still welcome to live in their house. She chose not to since my parents are absolutely fuming and probably will yell at her and criticize her, which she honestly needs. It's been a little bit more than 2 weeks since my first post, and I guess it's safe to say now that the situation has been resolved in probably the best way possible. In my last post, I stated that my sister was still living in the car of her delinquent boyfriend who sells D and refusing to come home because my parents had disowned her. At this point, I would like to clarify that my family and I are Chinese, and it is common in Chinese culture to disown your kids when they do something that largely disappoints or embarrasses you. However, this is not a permanent disownment like many of you have brought up. As long as my sister apologizes sincerely and they can see that she is actively trying to fix her mistake and become better, they will take her back as their daughter. Another clarification would be for those people that assumed that my dad kept us poor since he was stubborn and wanted to work on his business and not get a real job. His business was a passion project on the side. My dad was working 50 hours a week at 2 jobs. Alrighty, on to what ultimately happened with my sister. Despite the chain of advice I sent her, she ignored me still. I regularly checked in with her over the next week to see how she was, and she gave me one-word replies until they ultimately stopped. I was growing concerned after she didn't pick up her cell, but then I received a call from my parents. According to my mom, my sister had returned home crying and begging for forgiveness. She had a series of talks with my parents where she apologized for her behavior and promised to make amends. My mom was very tearful as well. They scheduled a doctor's appointment for her immediately, and I believe she went in the next day. I had no idea what made her finally break and return home, so I texted her. First, I told her I was proud of her for taking action and being mature, and asked if anything happened between her and her boyfriend. At first, she was pretty stubborn and kept insisting that she was just over living in a car. But after a while, she finally admitted that her boyfriend had requested that she start selling for him if she wanted to keep living in his car and eating his food that he was sneaking her. What a ducking idiot. Glad my sister finally returned to her senses. She told me she broke it off with him, and I sincerely hope that's the truth. This past Monday, she got the pills to successfully terminate her pregnancy. According to my mom, she was begging that they do it as soon as possible, which was really a breath of relief for all of us because we were worried she might want to keep it. The future seems pretty bright for her now. My parents decided to pull her out of the public school and send her to a progressive private school that some of my close friends also went to. It's a fantastic school, and I think it'd be great for her. She's officially starting next Monday. I'm going to go visit her and my family this weekend and see how she's doing.